Hi, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Travel. We're really glad that you've joined us tonight. I am Pat Hand, owner and founder of Dancing Moon Travel. We've been around since 2008, planning customized vacation experiences for our clients, also doing group travel by land and by sea. Basically, for 12 plus years, we have been saving our clients time, money, and mistakes with fabulous vacation packages. Um, we just want to always remind people we were here for our clients long before we ever heard of this virus, and we served our clients all the way through the crisis, and we're still going to be here once all of this is behind us. With all that said, I just want to welcome our special guest for this evening's broadcast, uh, longtime Dancing Moon Travel client and avid cruiser herself, Jan Fowler.
Hi,
Welcome,
everybody.
Jan.
Hi, Pat. Hi, everybody.
Uh, so, Jan, you are, when I say avid cruiser, you are an avid cruiser. Uh, how many cruises have you taken anyway?
I have been on 23 or 24, and 13 of those have been with you, or through
Wow.
you.
Through us. I wish I'd been on all of them, but
Well, found you, we decided that was the way to go.
well, I really appreciate it. We connected actually at a restaurant where a chef friend of ours was doing a demonstration, and that was way back in 2012. And we've just stayed connected. And you're one of my friends. That's the combination friend client. After I do a couple of trips with people, they kind of, they feel more like friends and sometimes family than they do just clients. That sounds that's our relationships grow and become closer than that. So Jen, what is it about cruising, other than the basic accessibility, which we're going to get to down the line a bit, but what is it about cruising per se that keeps you coming back?
We just like the unpack once and see a bunch of different places aspect of it. We've done bus tours, we've done train tours, and they're great. But we're getting a little bit older. That's a little bit harder. But even before we had mobility issues, I just like being able to. It's carefree. It's not all inclusive. You can't really say it's all inclusive. It can be. I mean, if you want to eat and all the free dining, and you don't want to buy photos, you don't want to go on tours or whatever, you can make it all inclusive and you'll still have a great time. You can do it on all budgets. We've done it on the low end, we've done it on the high end, we've done it on the very high end. So it's just something for everybody. If we're with our family, which we've done a couple of those, there's something to entertain everybody. They've got the casinos, they've got pools, most of the ships have great entertainment. They talk about, oh, it's cruise ship entertainment. You hear that a lot of times on TV. Oh, it's just cruise ship entertainers. The cruise ship entertainers are pretty darn good in our book.
They have really upped their game on the entertainment scale. That is really one of the things that people look forward to about cruise vacations, because it's not that marginal singer in a smoky room anymore. That we've come a long way, baby, from that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we're not there anymore. And I see we've got several people.
Oops, I lost the audio here.
Okay.
I lost your audio.
Folks, well, I think Jan's going to go out and come back, but I'm so sorry for this technical issue, some kind of problem going on with that and Jan's end there. But anyway, here she is back again. Hopefully we have sound. I'm going to add her to the feed here and see. Now, is that working, Jan?
Can you hear me now? I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Okay.
What happened is I post muted my mic and
something happened. Well, so folks, sorry. It's just kind of the stuff that happens from time to time when you do something live. But Jan, let's just try to move on here and make the best of this. But I know you sail a lot because I booked most of those trips. And primarily, I think we book you on Royal Caribbean, Celebrity, and I know you recently checked out Norwegian and their Haven suites, which are we'll talk about that down the line. But do you find that a cruise is a cruise, or are there really differences by brand? And by the way, folks, if you just want to keep the enter any comments in the comment box. I'm trying to watch that and keep track of it. I've got all kinds of people here. I can see Marty and Kathy's on there, so we're glad you're here. But anyway, tell us, Jan, a little bit. What do you think about your experience from one cruise line to another? Are there differences?
Yeah, there definitely are differences, and a lot has to do with price point, obviously. You've got what I call the lower end carnival type cruises, and they're more of a younger, hip vibe, more party boat, and it's not really what we're interested in. So we've never cruised them. My brother cruises them all the time, and I know a lot of people that love them. So I'm not going to knock them. They haven't tried them. We tried Princess a couple of times, and they were okay, but again, we weren't in a suite, so again, I can't really talk about them. We've been on Holland America. I've been on, and they're more of a formal, older crowd for the most part. But we did Alaska up there. We've done I did Canada, New England with my girlfriends on Holland America. Fabulous, good food, especially. But Royal Caribbean and Celebrity are more middle of the road to us. They're upscale. Celebrities probably a little more upscale than Royal. Royal has the bigger ships, which is great if you're. And we've actually done more on Royal than we have with Celebrity. A lot of that has to do with either the timing or the port or the places we wanted to go, or we were traveling with the family. And so on those bigger ships, you get those big venues. You get the aqua shows, the big production shows like we've seen Grease, we've seen Cats, they've done a lot of the big production shows. And there's just a lot more to do in general. And so it just depends on what your vibe is, and that's one of the things you can help clients with. They can tell you what it is they're looking for. Obviously, what our preferences are now because we've cruised with you so many times. But
Right.
if they haven't cruised, it's their first cruise and they don't know what they want. That's where they can look to you and really get your benefit of saying, okay, well, you tell me what you want to do. Which cruise line would be the best fit for you?
Right. It's very important to get the client on the right cruise product, because if you put a Carnival client on a Holland America ship, they are going to not. It's not a fit.
Right.
Same thing if I put the Holland America client on Carnival. Now I happen to be one. It's my job to sail on all of them. So I do get. It's a sacrifice I make for all right guys. That it's just what I have to do. It's hardship, but we sail on a lot of the lines, and I appreciate it. I set my expectations because I know what the different brands have to offer, and so there's only one cruise line. I won't mention a name on this live broadcast. If anybody wants to know, you can private message me and I'll let you know. But there's only one brand that I wouldn't care to be on it again, and the rest of them. My sister and I just took a Carnival cruise, a little four-nighter back in January, and it was great. But we had just a good time. We wanted just a little fun getaway. I see we have Cheryl from Gladstone, Missouri here with us, and Joe and Marty from Houston. Hey guys, good of you to join us there. Somebody who I just see as Facebook user is talking about Carnival and how they're targeting families, and they've gotten a lot better. There's a lot to say about Carnival, but they really have upped their game, and especially on their newer ships, they really are doing a really good job these days. So yeah, it's changed a lot. Carnival has they evolved, let us say.
Yeah, that's We had booked one. Unfortunately, it got canceled because of the COVID. But you remember, we had
I remember you did, yes.
and we were going to give them a shot. It was a little 5-day cruise. We thought it was out of Tampa, so it was an easy port for us. Because that's one of our restrictions now too, is that we have to really be within driving distance of the ports. Chuck prefers that, but you know, we were willing to give them a shot just to see. But we weren't expecting it to be a celebrity or a royal experience. We were going to be in a suite, so we were going to have some perks. And anyway, we may still do it in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, it could happen. I can't wait to get back on board a ship, and
I know.
I could say I never get tired of talking cruise. But what about the food, Jan? You hear about the food all the time, and is it really good? Is it, what can you tell us about that?
We have been pleasantly surprised. And like I say, most of our experience, these are some of my pictures, by the way.
Yes, these are all Jan's pictures, folks, that were showing up here from
Yeah,
various cruises.
yeah, those are some. Now, those were probably in specialty dining, not regular dining rooms, but that's an example of the upscale dining in the specialty dining or in some of the suites. One of the perks is a lot of them have private dining rooms for you. That's one of the celebrities' big main dining rooms. They're beautiful. There are advantages and disadvantages if you want to eat at a certain time every night. Great with families. That's what we did on our Thanksgiving cruise. We wanted to know the family would all be together at least once a day at the dining table together. And the advantages on that is your waiters and wait staff get to know your preferences. They know you by name. They know your drink preferences. Our kids are vegetarians, they're very picky vegetarians, but they uh, knew that they love strawberries and blueberries. So every night when we got there, they immediately were bringing out bowls of strawberries and blueberries for them. That's one of the Oasis class ships there that you're showing.
Right. Yeah, folks, this is on a cruise ship. This is one of the big Oasis class Royal Caribbean ships. And you forget sometimes that you really are cruising because the ships are so stable. Uh, and they're you just lose track of the fact that you're really sailing at sea. It's really quite amazing sometimes to just uh, have to pinch yourself and remind yourself you're really out on a cruise ship. This isn't a resort somewhere or a small town.
Yeah, that royal promenade is full of shops, restaurants. There's actually an elevator where you couldn't see behind that car. Is there's a bar that raises and lowers, goes up from deck 5 to deck 8, and you can just get on there and have a drink and ride up and down. It's interesting, but the food overall, the regular buffet, which they'll probably be changing. I think we're going to talk about that in a little
Yeah.
changes that are coming, but the regular buffet, the food is there's all kinds of, and it's I'd say it's above average over a general cafeteria kind of dining. Um, and you might get something once in a while that you don't care for, but there's plenty of other food. And even in the main dining room, if you order something for dinner and you don't care for it, you just tell your waiter and he'll bring you something else. You know,
Yeah.
never a problem.
Never a shortage of something to eat, and
Yeah.
healthy eating is very very easy these days too, folks. People talk about uh, you know uh, the unhealthy food and things, but really there are all kinds of options if you are health conscious and you want to maintain uh, uh, on a health conscious diet while you're at sea. Easily done today. They have all kinds of things. What about entertainment, Jan? What do you?
Oh wow. I mean, there's especially on those Royal Caribbean, those big ships. But Celebrity, what they do with theirs is they use some of their little areas, like the little atriums, and they'll put on entertainment down there. They'll do trivia contests or crew versus staff contests, and those are fun. And they just try to make it really interactive. A lot of the ships have aerial acts that they put on in those big open atriums.
Mhm.
But the Oasis class ships on that'd be Harmony of the Seas, Oasis of the Seas, Symphony of the Seas, all of those really big mega ships have fantastic production shows. They've got a lot of bars and lounges. They have a comedy club. They have an ice skating rink. so you can go down and see ice skating shows, which are very family friendly. And then when they're not using the ice skating rink for those, they're doing game shows. Like they have a late night quest, which is adults only, 18 and above only show because it can get pretty wild. But they do that. They have a covering they put over the ice skating rink. And so you can go down there and enjoy that late in the evening. And you
Yeah.
can, they have open skate. There's times where they just open the ice skating rink up and you can go down if you want to and you can ice skate. They have flow
Well,
ride.
I've kind of passed on that. Flow rider, I haven't done it, but it's fun to watch.
Enjoy watching it. Yeah, we're not going to do it, but our kids, again, on this Thanksgiving cruise, the kids were having a blast on that. There's a zip line. If you're into zip lining, you can zip line 8 decks above on the Oasis class ships. There's a
Yeah.
Central Park, which is on deck 8, and you talk about feeling like you're away from, you're not on a ship. You feel like you're walking down Central Park. There's beautiful restaurants down there, and there's live trees, live plants. We were on a couple of times. We've heard actual birds and seen birds that jump on the ship apparently while they're in port, and they get carried out to sea. They just stay on the ship.
Yeah, it's really funny. NCL Norwegian is also known for having some really good entertainment on board. I know, Royal they're very well known for their entertainment. Norwegian also. I want to just throw in an honorable mention for, and I don't think you guys have been on MSC. That's a kind of new to the U.S. It's the most popular cruise line in Europe, but I really have become a fan of theirs. They have a really, really good cruise product. You need to there again understand what it's like, but lots of energy, lots of if the food was good, but there's always something going on, a big nightly party with a theme to it, and the shows were fabulous. So that's a newer member of the mix that you might not be aware of yet, but they are offering. They have some lovely ships, some big ships. So they're a big player that's coming up and coming, I would say, on that.
Yeah, we've been trying to look at cruises on MSC and also Silver Sea, I think. Is it Costa Silver Sea?
Silver Sea is yeah, it's one of the 5-star high-end luxury lines, and yeah,
A lot of stuff, and we've looked at them, but the ports just don't really work for us. Most of them are European.
lots of European. What about families?
Families. That was my son and daughter-in-law's anniversary, which was on happened to be on our Thanksgiving cruise. So this was Margaritaville on one of our ports here in Cozumel on Thanksgiving, and it was fabulous. We've done two family cruises because it is expensive to try and take the whole family. If Grandma and Grandpa are picking up the tab, and so we did one about 10 years ago on that was on NCL on Norwegian. It was a great cruise. We had a great time. We had 3 cabins at that point. We had a big suite for us so that we would have a place that we could all gather at night. Oh, that's my youngest son and his family. And so when the older boy there, Rylan, when he was 3, we took our first Christmas cruise, and Mia was actually expecting Layla, the middle one. So we just needed 3 cabins then. Now we need 4 if we all go because the family is grown. But the kids absolutely had a ball. The older boy stayed in the cabin with our older son, David. He's there in that orange shirt. So he and Uncle David got to room together, and he just thought that was wonderful because they had their bachelor pad, and then the 2 girls had an adjoining cabin with mom and dad, and then Grandpa and I had our own cabin, of course, and they just had a ball. There was something to do all the time. We'd split up in different groups. Maybe the girls and I would go and do a cupcake class, and the boys would be off, the flow rider, or Grandpa be taking a nap or whatever. But we always came together at least once a day. We had that meal in the dining room at the same table every night, and could regroup and plan the next day.
Really, it's really a great choice for a family getaway and a family vacation. Somebody here says talking about having lobster in a restaurant in port, but the shipped lobster is rarely a good option. I don't know. I
I
think it,
don't probably because we've had some really great lobster,
yeah, it
and
kind of depends on brand.
yeah, it really does. Um, we had we've had lobster a few times, and it's maybe they're not the big huge lobsters you're going to get on port, but then you're not paying extra for it in most cases. So they'll bring you another one if you need one.
Oh, yeah. Uh, I can't remember the family. I can't remember who it was, but one of my clients, uh, they ate, I mean, they had their son was a college kid, and I forget exactly what it was that he ate, but he kind of set a record for lobster tail
Oh,
consumption one night. And I know they were on Royal Caribbean at one of their, I think one of their upscale restaurants, one of their premium restaurants when they did that. But it was funny. They showed all the lobster shells. They sent me a picture of it.
that's right. We've seen that with sometimes if they'll have crab night, you'll see people with piles of crab claws, after
Yeah.
shells. But speaking of the specialty restaurants, um, one of the perks you get when you have a suite, a lot of times, is they'll throw in a dining package, and you maybe get 2, 3, 4 nights of specialty dining. And those are you get to try different cuisines every night. One of the ones we did this last time, we actually I think we paid for it. I don't remember, but we had the ultimate dining package on one of
That
our
was
cruises.
Norwegian, yeah.
That was Norwegian. And I think it might have been a perk with the I don't
With
remember the perk or if we paid for it, but anyway, I'll say it was $150 per person for the entire cruise, and we could eat in any dining room, anytime, the whole cruise. And we didn't eat in the same dining room every night, any night. It was fabulous. We had some lunches. We had a lot of great experience, including 150 Park, which is their premier um, dining room, and it was
when we talk about these premium restaurants on board these ships, you're talking about really it would be, if you went to the best restaurant in your city, that would be comparable to that. So these premium restaurants, they charge a little extra fee, but you leave with a memorable dining experience when you leave. And talk about memorables. You guys, we've been talking that you usually book suite level accommodations, and,
Mhm.
other than the extra space, um, it what makes it worth the extra cost to uh,
Oh, looking at right there on the picture with me in it, that's called Luminae. That's the private dining room that's on the celebrity line for the suites only. You see, we were the only ones in the dining room at that point. Now, there were some other people that came in, but we happened to be dining early, I think, that night. And based on my dress, it looks like it may have been a formal night. But you, call them ahead, tell them what time you want to eat. You go in, and you can sit at the same table every night if you want. The photo on the right is actually on Oasis, and that's on their private dining room. One side of it is more of a casual dining, and the other is a little more fine dining. But that was actually their suitcases. If you look over on the right, you'll see suitcases piled up over there. That was
oh,
actually embarkation. And when you get on board the ship, you're free to go anywhere you want to on the ship once you're on board before you sail. But the problem is, everybody tends to go to the main uh, general buffet.
right. When you first board the ship, it
Right.
is kind of that's the most crowded time because staterooms usually don't open for a couple of hours after people start boarding, and so they have to go somewhere. Usually it's the buffet, and so if you can find some other place to grab lunch like this,
Right.
uh,
Well, where you get to go on Oasis Kitchen, on Oasis or the Oasis class ships, and you can go up there and have a nice sit down lunch with the wait staff and have a drink. The bar is open, and that's another perk you get a lot of times on the suites is you have special happy hours. Either they may have a special club for suite only guests, or like this, the Oasis class ships, they have the coastal kitchen. They have a happy hour every night with hors d'oeuvres and drinks. So if maybe you're going to the early show and you're going to have a late dinner, it's a great option because you go in there, have a little snack and a drink, then go see your show, then you could go have your nice dinner afterwards. So those are big perks. You get priority embarkation, you get priority tendering when you have to tender into a port, you get preferred seating roped off sections of seating in the theaters on formal nights. You get a lot of discounts. You get discounts on your photo packages or different things. So there's a lot of different ways that it adds up and pays, to be in the suite. You get more value for your money than just a bigger cabin.
And here we have, this is one of my favorite accommodations.
It was one of our favorite accommodations too. This is on the Oasis of the Seas. And we've been in that particular cabin twice because it's the only one on the ship that is, they have other ones. This is called the Crown Loft Suite. And it basically looks like the standard Crown Loft Suite, but this is accessible. If you see my husband's scooter down there on the picture on the right, and a recliner, that is not standard equipment. We rent that when we travel because he has to keep his legs elevated when he's, relaxing. And so there's actually a bathroom downstairs. There's another bathroom upstairs. And there's an elevator right there to the left of the door. There's an elevator that goes up to that second floor, which is where the bedroom is. And it's a bedroom loft. And so it was fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And this is the one that you get the coastal kitchen accommodations. It's not quite a ship in a ship like NCL. It is in a private key card area only because of the private dining room. And it's a little more secluded, a little quieter. But that was actually a 2-story suite called the Crown Loft. And there's
more room. Yeah, more room than a lot of metropolitan apartments in that suite.
And like I said, that particular suite, most of the time, accessible cabins are typically a little bit larger than the regular cabin in the same size category. This one is not really. The only addition is they've put the elevator in there. And so there's only one of these on the ship, but there's a bunch of the Crown Loft suites. And they were fabulous. And you get a much larger balcony and much larger deck furniture and that kind of stuff. Now, what you're looking at there is, I think that's also a Royal Caribbean ship. That I
owner suite. Yeah, it's Royal Caribbean owner.
Oh, the owner suite. Okay. And we love that suite. It's plenty large. I mean, it's huge. It's got those mirrors behind. It's kind of hard to see because there's a reflection, but those glass window, that's a mirror reflecting the windows that go out to the deck. But there's a dining area there, a wet bar, lots of closet space, that big sectional couch. And then on the other side of that is what that TV stand separates the bedroom area from the living room area. So you can turn the TV to either room. And then there's a curtain. If you are traveling with somebody, that bed, the couch folds out to a bed. So if you had, kids with you, they could be sleeping in there. And there's a privacy curtain that goes across behind the TV screen.
Yeah, I can just see a hint of that there. Cheryl Perkins is saying she had a room with a balcony. It was so nice to relax and sit there, see some interesting things and beautiful scenery. Cheryl, that just prompts me to mention that I actually, one of my favorite memories was just a quiet night out there when I was sitting on the balcony and we went through a school of, and I've told people about this, flying fish. It went on for at least 15 minutes and it was still going on when I left. It's one of my favorite memories from cruising. It was just so cool. But let's see, I have another one here. This one says Grand Suite from Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, this is the Grand Suite. And you can see that's a much larger bathroom than what you get. Everybody kids about the showers on cruise ships, and they can be very small in a regular cabin, especially if you're an inside cabin. But this is one of the perks when you get into the Grand Suite, which is one step below that previous suite. You can see this has a smaller sofa. It's just a straight, not a sectional, but it has a small table. But it's still plenty of room, and they're just well appointed. And most of the lines, once you're in a suite category, you pretty much get all the same perks. At that point, it's just a matter of what size cabin you want. So
Yes.
in one of the ones we like the best is on Celebrity. It's called the Sky Suite category, and it's a very large room, and you get all the access and perks that the people in these bigger, higher price cabins are, but you're not paying those big bucks.
Right.
And so we've really enjoyed that. And talking about the balconies, The times that you really, really want a balcony, I mean, they're always not. We prefer to be in a balcony, but the times you really want them is if you're going to Alaska, you're going to
Mhm.
the Panama Canal, or you're going Canada, New England. That's another time you really want the balcony. Anytime where you're going to be seeing something other than just water. If
Right.
you're seeing water, the view doesn't change much. But you can get into those schools of fish or things like that.
I mean, things just happen, and folks, stay tuned because I forgot to say at the beginning of this that we do have a special offer for you tonight. So be sure to watch it, stay in until the end, because we do have a special offer that we're going to give you if you hang in there to the end with us. So um, anyway,
Bribe,
so we're
bribe,
huh?
bribe them.
Yeah, bribe them for sure. Uh, so what about accessibility, Jan? You mentioned this, and here we have a bathroom with the accessible roll-in shower, I think. And
Yep.
then picture that elevator in that suite.
Yep.
Your private elevator, folks. It takes you right upstairs. So um,
It was really nice too to have that elevator because I could load my luggage in and take it all the way upstairs without having to ask the butler to carry it for me. But they will do that. That's one of the perks you get is most of the time, if you're in one of these luxury suites, you're going to get butler and concierge service. But the cruising is very, very accessible. Our hardest part is getting to the cruise ship. Once we're on the cruise ship, it's great. Um, People are very accommodating. The staff is there to help you if you need anything. In fact, they pretty much insist helping you. We have our own mobility scooters, but you can also rent them if you don't want to. If you don't want to travel with it or you don't have your own, you can rent them. Each cruise company they'll work for that. In fact, that one I can tell right now that accessible. That was a rented scooter. That was not ours.
yeah, and I think this is just a standard balcony accessible room here.
Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much the Sky Suite, I think, category.
Okay.
But actually, no, it's just regular balcony cabin.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can see it's much larger, even though it's a standard balcony cabin. They give you extra room because you've got scooters or extra equipment you've got to travel with. You have wider access. One thing you have to make sure of if you're going to travel and rent your equipment or whatever, you have to have a cabin door that will accept that scooter because they will not let you park them out in the hall. You have to
Right.
into your cabin, and
And
you have to have room to put it in the cabin and be able to walk around. So they do require their limited options. You have to book early, as you and I have found out. The earlier we book, the better chances we have of getting those cabins that we want. But they're very accommodating. Everything once you're on board ship, virtually everything is accessible. Occasionally, like might not be able to get to the helipad, but by and large, everything's accessible. And if there's an emergency on the ship, they make sure that they know people in those cabins may need extra assistance and they're to help you.
they do whatever they do. Now, kind of moving into that area of health and safety, you've been on over 20 cruise vacations now. Let me ask you, because I know how it sounds from the press. Have you ever once experienced an issue with norovirus on board of your cruises?
No, and people say, oh, it's a floating petri dish and blah, blah, blah. And yes, things can happen, obviously, but they work so hard to keep everything clean. You see people around the ship every day. It's almost like if you walk out of the restroom, there's somebody walking in the restroom behind you to clean it. It's almost that instantaneous that they clean. And they have to pass rigid health inspections. And I know on Royal Caribbean, if they get below a 98, they're finding out why, and they are all striving to get that 100% mark. Um, we did have one friend that got sick, didn't have anything to do with norovirus. She just got a little gastrointestinal bug that she picked up. And we were on our Panama Canal cruise, and they came in. She went to she called the ship doctor, went and saw him. He gave her some medications, but they put them in lockdown for 48 hours until she was symptom free. And they came in twice a day and disinfected her cabin. They said they looked like they had hazmat suits on. They came in, disinfected her cabin, and brought their meals to them. And yeah, it kind of, was a bummer for them, but the ship did everything they could to keep it from, it didn't spread to us. We've been with them all, the whole cruise, didn't spread to anybody else. And so it happens, but
I mean, life happens even if you're aboard the ship. Things, people say, "Oh, people die on cruise ships." Well, when your time comes, whether you're in a hotel or your bed at home, so life does go on and things do happen. But if people had any clue how rigidly there is nothing that is regulated any more than the cruise industry, and these the staff as you go around. I just almost challenge anybody to find any dust anywhere on a cruise ship. I mean, they're down there. They're cleaning the foot rails on the bar stools, and they're cleaning. I mean, they just clean, clean, clean. They are, and it's going nowhere. But I mean, they're really ramping up now.
course,
Uh, as they, as we're in the middle of this virus, the things that they're doing are really amazing. They're really planning to. I mean, they're going to be doing a lot of things, folks, moving forward to even up the game on the point of any kind of issues or whatever they can do to keep people from um, falling prey to any kind of illness while they're under their care. The cleaning and everything is going to be so stringent going forward in the industry that it's almost unimaginable. And it's already,
would
oh,
just,
somebody's asking here, Jan, how much is the owner's suite? Could you give a ballpark?
it's hard to say. Number one, it's been a while since we booked that suite, so I don't know per se. A lot of it depends on the destination, the length of the cruise line.
And
Uh,
what date it is, because you can have certain times of the year. Uh, Look at the first 2 weeks of December. I can tell you you're going to get probably the best rates of the year.
but
Typically,
Christmas will be higher. Trust me. The
just
holiday,
message me and I'm happy to quote an owner suite for you. I can't even tell who it is. I just got Facebook user up there, but we're happy to tell you exactly what it would cost for your preferred dates. It's what
um,
we do.
every,
Jen, have you ever on board a ship felt concerned? That's another thing that the media loves to paint. That cruise ships are somehow dangerous. Have you ever felt unsafe?
no, no. In fact, just the opposite. We've gotten off on a port a couple of times where we didn't feel safe, and we've gotten right back on board. But you get when you get your CPAS card or your cruise key card, it acts as your currency on board. You scan off and you scan onto the ship, so they know who's coming on and off that ship. And you can't even wear your hat going through security or sunglasses because they're checking. When you scan on, your picture comes up on their monitor because it's not on the key card. And they look at the monitor, they look at you, and they say, okay, welcome aboard. But you see security around. It's not overhanded, it's not overdone. But if you call for security, they come right away. And we had an issue one night. There were kids running up, and it was a holiday cruise, and it was over spring break. And that's not our preferred time to cruise, but it just happened to work out that way. But there were kids running up and down the hall ringing doorbells, and so I called the front desk, and it was probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. We were ready to go to bed and relax. And I called and I said, we've got some kids up here running around ringing doorbells. And it wasn't 10 minutes later, we had security up on our deck, and that we weren't in a suite. It was just an average cabin. But they took care of it. And we had an incident on a cruise not too long ago. They came on the intercom at 2 in the morning and said there was a missing teenager, and she needed to report her. She wasn't returning her parents' phone call. They didn't know where she was. And so they were looking for her, but they woke everybody in the ship up in the morning with overhead. And so we're like, oh, great. Um, she was fine. She was found, within 15, 20 minutes. They found her down in one of the teen arcades or hangout places. And but the captain even came back on 20 minutes later, and he says, okay, everything's clear. I just want to put everybody's mind at ease. She's fine. Everybody go back to sleep. And because that was the joke the next day, is like, we would not have wanted to been her parents. I wouldn't have wanted to been her.
Probably not. Listen, folks, I see how late we're getting here. We had that little technical issue going on. Somebody says here they used to work in a hotel. All I see is Facebook user. The hotels are not clean. Cruise ships are much cleaner, safer, hygienic. Ain't that's so the truth? I tell you, I have been in doctors' offices where you could see the dust in the corner, and I'm like, somebody needs to clean here. This isn't, but not my doctor here, not now. But this was a doctor's office up where I used to live in Georgia, and I was like unimpressed. But anyway, we're going to have to call this to a halt here. But I do want to tell people about our special offer. And gosh, we're going to have to do a whole different show about what the cruise lines are planning going forward as far as the initiatives. But folks, thank you for sticking with us. You're not going to want to miss next week's Facebook Live. We have Yannetti Perez from Ponant Cruises, and most of you are probably not familiar with that brand. It's the only French-based cruise line out there, and she's going to talk about their product. It's a 5-star luxury. They do a lot of expedition-type cruising, so you're going to want to learn about Ponant Cruises. They offer culturally immersive itineraries in Iceland, Turkey, Antarctica. So just plan to join us for that. And here's our special offer, folks. Anybody, and I'm limiting this to 5 people, anybody who books by the end of June and mentions Jan, that you saw Jan on our Facebook Live, I'm going to add a $50 onboard credit to your cruise booking of 7 nights or longer. So if anybody is planning on booking a cruise, why not do it before the end of June and take advantage of our special offer for staying through to the end with us today. And Jan, so thankful that you were able to come on tonight. It's always great to talk to you and get your insights about cruising. And we're going to have to do this again.
There were a lot to talk about that we plan to.
There's so much. I mean, cruising, you can just go on forever. But thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for watching. There's so much about cruising. If you could go on for hours, but we won't do that. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking into the end with us and through our technical issues at the beginning. So love you all and appreciate you so much. Thanks everybody, and see you next week for Ponant Cruises. Bye now.
Bye everybody.